Hi everyone, Dr. Suneel Dhand, medical doctor. I wanted to make a follow-up to my video last week where I talked about the absolutely enormous, and I mean enormous changes that are going to come with artificial intelligence over the next 10 years. And I want to talk in this video about some misconceptions that might be out there about artificial intelligence. Of course, absolutely, we have to be wise, we have to have our guard up. But I think a lot of people may be confused with what artificial intelligence means and how we can use AI to make healthcare better. And I've written down a few notes here that I would like to go over, but 3 points in particular that I really want to address because it's crucial that we are all thinking about artificial intelligence. It is going to impact society and the world in ways that we can't even imagine now that the horse is out of the barn, as it were. And when something like this happens, especially in the field of technology, it's absolutely unstoppable. And we've seen that with other forms of technology. These are my points here that I'm going to touch on. The first point that I want to touch on, and this may sound a bit cold when I say this, but I don't mean this in a cold way. Emotions are unimportant when it comes to a topic like this. Let me explain. There's often a lot of skepticism when it comes to a new technology being rolled out. I think a lot of this is hardwired in us, and it's a protection mechanism. Anything which is new, we want to be skeptical of it because, of course, it might really disrupt things, and often things can be disrupted in a bad way. So I am sure, as I touched upon in my last video, when the first tractors came out and people used to plow the fields every single day, they looked at those tractors and they rolled their eyes and thought, this is ridiculous. This is not the traditional way of doing things. A tractor can't replace us. And we all saw what happened, or we know what happened within a short space of time. The entire farming industry became mechanized. Sure, when the first airplanes were made, people were very scared and thought, this is insane. I'm not going to go on an airplane. I am not used to this. It doesn't seem safe to me. Probably the same with the first cars. When people saw the first mechanized cars and they were used to traveling with a horse and they liked their horses, they thought, oh, this will never take off. People will never get in this little device with wheels. We like doing things with horses. That's the way things have always been. So it is our default as human beings to always be skeptical of a new technology. And yes, I accept the fact that AI is scary to many people. And some people made the comment in my last video and said, you seem to be a fan of AI. You're promoting it. Some people even said, we're disappointed in you. So this is where my point about emotions not being important is so crucial, because it's not about whether somebody likes a new technology or not. Personally, I think there's a lot to be said about the traditional ways of doing things. I would love to be able to sit down with somebody, and I still strive to do this actually in my coaching for as long as possible, and go over what's wrong with you, really get to the root cause, have that human connection. Of course, that's what healthcare will always be about. But we do use technology more than ever. I mean, I look at people's lab results, I look at people's scan results, and often we give advice based on those. In fact, most of the time, we are giving advice based on all of these other parameters that we're measuring that AI will probably help more with. So it's irrelevant in many ways whether I think that the traditional ways of doing things are the best way. The point is that when a technology comes in, it is basically impossible to stop it. And I'll come back again to when the first cars got released, when airplanes first started. You can't really stop technology. If I can use an example, let's suppose you have something which has a hint of the political about it, like say a mandate, which of course we can talk about, we saw a lot of during the last few years, and you think something is really wrong, you can fight it and you can bring about change. That's very different from trying to stop technology. So whether or not somebody likes a particular technology is very irrelevant. When the technology horse has left the barn, it's unstoppable. And then the discussion is simply, how can we use the technology in the best possible way? How can we make sure that those forces of badness and evil don't take over and result in bad things happening? But what we can do as humans is make sure that we try to use the technology in the right way. Let me give you another example. When the first forms of transport were developed, what did we see very quickly? Well, they weren't only used to make cars, we also saw tanks arrive very quickly. By the First World War, tanks were there because, of course, humans will always want to use technology for domination, power, and in war. So we have to be really, really careful. AI, I don't doubt, is going to have some very bad uses and some sinister people who want to use it in a bad way. But we must try to make sure that it's used in the best possible way, especially when it comes to healthcare. So that is my first point. Emotions are quite unimportant, and what we like and what we don't like is quite unimportant when it comes to technology. Once a new technology has been developed, you can even use an example like the internet. Whether people were skeptical at first is irrelevant because very soon everybody was using it. It was a game changer. Okay, number 2 that I want to touch on is you can ask AI pretty much anything you want. So artificial intelligence, and we're already seeing this, and I think it's going to get even bigger and better over the next few years. You can tailor artificial intelligence to answer questions you want. Yes, of course, if you put in a question like, what are the current recommendations for XYZ, you will get an establishment answer. Of course you will, because the AI will scour the internet and it will come up with recommendations based on guidance. And frequently we all know that medical establishment guidance is a whole load of BS. So if you want to use it in a way to get the typical kind of guidance from authorities, you can use it. But, and here's the big but, you can also use AI to get the guidance you seek. So let me give you an example. You can ask AI a question like, could you give me guidance on how to treat a certain medical condition without any medications whatsoever? You can also ask it questions like, can you please scour all of the research out there and give me 5 examples of really bad side effects and adverse events to a particular medical therapeutic, whether it's a drug or an injection? And AI will actually tell you that information. Isn't that fantastic? But you have to use AI, and hopefully there'll be more and more AI programs which compete with each other, and the ones which obviously are more tailored to the individual will become the popular ones. You can pretty much ask AI anything you want, get answers according to your own likes and preferences, but it will tell you information in a way that you can't really get from authorities. So keep that in mind. A lot of people think, well, who is programming the AI? Well, the idea of AI is that it will simply gain all of the knowledge and research that is out there, and it will answer your questions. So I think it is less prone to programming than something like, say, Google, where Wikipedia, and we all know the political leanings of Wikipedia, where you are given a certain set of answers. With AI, you can actually ask very specific questions. So keep that in mind. And it's not like there's somebody sinister who's programming everything. It doesn't work in the same way as that type of technology, or ideally it shouldn't. Number 3, keep this in mind. You're already in a situation where AI will give you better answers than most professionals out there. This could apply in any field, but obviously we're talking about healthcare, and I actually think AI will give you far better answers than a doctor. If you want to ask AI for, say, the wonderful benefits of vitamin D for all of the bodily systems apart from, say, the bone skeletal system, it will tell you about benefits for your mood, benefits for other organ systems. If you want to ask AI about the tremendous health benefits of turmeric or blueberries or anything else you can think of course, I would say turmeric and blueberries. Those are 2 of my favorites. But anything you want to ask, you could ask AI for the benefits of acupuncture over a certain medical therapeutic. as an example, and it will tell you, and it will give you a far better answer than most establishment doctors. You could even ask AI about the saturated fat myth and how saturated fat may not be bad for you, and it would give you a very tailored answer to your question. It would scour the internet and pull up the information you want, and AI is going to get better all the time at doing this. So we're already basically in a situation where you will get better and more specific answers, alternative answers. That is the key. Alternative answers than you would from a standard establishment physician. So that's another way that I think AI is going to be great. The final point that I would like to touch upon. Most of us know that the healthcare system is a complete and utter disaster. So how could AI, to be honest, be anything worse than what we have currently? Think about that. I mean, the healthcare system is really failing people. As always, I'm not saying that every single doctor is bad. Of course not. There are many doctors who want to do a good job, but most doctors out there are completely trapped within the system. And sadly, a lot of doctors don't think outside the box. They lack critical thinking skills, and they're simply in a position where they are a cog in the wheel of the medical industrial complex. So, that being said, tell me how AI could possibly be any worse than the situation we're currently in, where healthcare keeps getting worse, the system is becoming more and more bankrupted, your costs keep going up, and you are struggling to get appointments. You're struggling to get the help you need, whether it's yourself or a family member. I think AI has tremendous potential. And I'll again answer that question because so many people, well, not so many people, but enough people did mention after my last video, oh, you appear to be a fan of AI. We're very disappointed. Well, it's not that I'm a fan of it per se, it's that I'm a realist. And when it comes to science, you have to separate emotion from reality, and you have to do your best with what you have. So those are the points that I would like to make, and I would finally like to touch upon this. You can have all the technology in the world, but as a doctor whose primary area of interest is metabolic health, you can't really cheat your body. I think this is a wonderful thing in a way, whether you believe in God. Personally, I believe in God. Whether you believe in nature, whatever it is you believe in, the human body works in a certain way, and it can't be tricked, it can't be fooled. Our bodies will always crave certain things. Our bodies will crave human connection. Our bodies will crave being outdoors. Our bodies will crave a certain sense of community connection. And above all else, our bodies will crave real food and movement. And you can have all the technology in the world, but it won't change some basic facts of metabolic health. And this is what I would like to end with. My number one piece of advice is always to take charge of your health. Be a shining example to people around you. Get away from toxic modern mainstream culture. Use technology in the right way, but remember that your body will always work best when you're being as natural as possible. When you're eating real food, you stay away from toxic ultra-processed food, which is 80 to 90% of the grocery store. Strive to cook yourself with fresh ingredients. Move around as much as possible. Get your 10,000 steps in minimum. Work out. Muscle strengthen as much as you can. Keep your body strong with each passing year. Be connected to the community. Have great hobbies. Avoid stress. Sleep enough. These are the pillars of health and well-being, and no technology is ever going to change that, even in 1,000 years. Unless we become robots, I suppose, but that is a long way off. So that is what I would like to say about AI and health. Whether we like it or not, these enormous changes are coming. Thanks everyone for watching. Let me know what you think about what I've just said. Check the links in the description down below for our natural supplement store if you're in the USA, North America, ohiwellness.com. If you're in the UK or Europe, ohiwellness.co. Also in the links down below, my free newsletter. Make sure you're signed up for that if you're not already. My website and all the other work I do. Hit the like button if you like this video, the subscribe button for more similar videos in the future, and do share this video with anyone else who may be interested. This is an absolutely huge topic. Take care everyone, and we will speak again next time.